Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Fastest Podcast, where we talk about everything from the greatest overtakes to the fastest pit stops. Today with me again, Dan and Nogra.
What's
Um,
up?
Right.
Race has just finished. What do you think? What did we think?
Um, that was the least interesting Monza race in a while, I think. I was expecting a lot more turn one chaos, as I said yesterday, and there wasn't any. There was some chaos. It wasn't related to the race. I mean, it was related to the race, just team order stuff, which we will get into soon. So that's about it. Ferrari, obviously, I mean, they did well. Hamilton got from P10 to P6. I'm happy about that. Leclerc P4, happy about that as well. You can't do much.
Yeah, it was a bit of a slow race, wasn't it? It was a first few laps. There was a bit of excitement. Piastri v Leclerc and Norris and Verstappen going at it, but overall, it didn't live up to the hype of what Monza usually is. There was no strategy at play. There was, no constant will-to-will action, and the first half of the race was just one long DRS train, I think, behind Tsunoda. So, unfortunately, with these cars, it's so difficult to stay behind. It's so difficult to overtake, and hopefully bring on next year where we've got some cars that, fingers crossed, can follow each other and you can race with.
Yeah. I mean, Verstappen winning from pole. That's a pretty nice thing. Didn't think we'd get that this season anymore with McLaren's pace. And then you have two McLarens fighting for the remaining spots on the podium. Or I say fighting, at this point you can call it match fixing. Um, yeah, the cars were 2 and 3, Norris Piastri the entire race, and then you have a bad pit stop. And you basically have to beg your drivers to swap back, which I think we'd hope they'd learn from Hungary in 2024 when everyone basically turned against them for that. They haven't. What do we think about that?
It was a shambles, wasn't it? It was Norris gave up the right to pit first, right? He suggested that Piastri pits first. So then whatever happens at his stop is on Norris because he made the call. The team wanted to pit him first, and the team made the call. The team made the call to pit Norris first. Norris made the call to swap the decision and Piastri go first. So then it's up to him, right? You have a bad pit stop. That's just F1 luck. It could happen to anyone. It could have happened to Verstappen, and he loses the race win. It's just one part and parcel of F1. They shouldn't have swapped the positions. If Piastri loses this by 1 or 2 points, he is. I don't know how we can forgive the team for that one.
He'll bring out that Australian rage. But yeah, on another note, happy for Verstappen. It's been a while since we saw him on the top step. I know Pigeon's happy. Um, But yeah, I feel like this solidifies the fact that it's more of a qualifying championship than it's a qualifying season than a race season. But again, having fending off from the McLarens when they're so far ahead of you in pace, terms of pace, that's just pure Verstappen masterclass right there.
Yeah, I think McLaren can actually wrap up the constructors' championship in about 3 races time if they continue this way. Um, at this point, you don't even care about who finishes where, right? As a team, you're safe.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that they are still concerned with um, which of them gets better strategy, better. Just get the gloves off and just have them race. This is getting tedious. Um, yeah, last week we saw Sainz and get a penalty which might not have been deserved. This time he was once again included in an on-track incident with Behrman. Only Behrman got a penalty. What did you guys see there?
Being honest, I feel like it was more of Sainz's fault. Being honest there. There was nothing Behrman could do. I think Behrman was also turning, Sainz turned into him. I think it happened just before the turn as well. So I just feel like FIA was just too afraid to hand a penalty to Sainz at this point. He would have burned the buildings down. But still, I think 10 seconds is a bit too harsh as well. 5 is enough, 10 is too much, and either you declare it as a racing incident or you don't give it to Behrman because he wasn't at fault.
I think it's the FIA trying to show consistently bad decisions.
At least it's consistency.
Exactly. I mean, in Zandvoort, Sainz was no way at fault, but Lawson was ahead at the corner. So that's why Sainz was penalised. You could argue that Sainz was ahead technically at the corner, not maybe at the apex, but he was ahead going into the braking zone. He did turn in on Behrman. Where's he meant to go? I would say that's a racing incident. I don't think either of them really deserved a penalty for it. But going off last week, I guess they had to penalise Behrman. I just don't understand it,
I mean, they always say that they judge the incident rather than the consequences it has. Last week we saw both Lawson and Sainz. They were both broken parts that they go into the pits, a lap down for most of the race. This time both of them got away with fairly well. They had both spun and they could continue. Thank God they didn't cause a safety car then. I mean, maybe it would have been more interesting, but then you would have had a DRS train all the way to the finish. So.
And you would have probably not.
Yeah.
That's your reasoning.
But also, we have scrutinized the FIA for throwing a safety car when it wasn't necessary. Also for not throwing a safety car when it was necessary. So it's good to see that they make good decisions on that area. I don't know what the FIA is doing at the moment. They should maybe read their own rulebook again, because penalising Behrman for that just feels off. You're on the inside. You have nowhere to go, and you can't expect them to just go full on the brakes. So another driver who was, in my opinion, unfairly penalised, Antonelli, was penalised, I think, 5 seconds for driving erratically, forcing Albon onto the grass.
I think the poor guy has been having a very bad ever since that last race he scored, and he's just not having a good time. I think it's also affecting him completely. But that looked much more like a racing incident than it was a deliberate forcing of the trap, especially because it happened on a straight, not on a corner. So, I mean, I see FIA's point of view here as well, but this was more of a racing incident than it was an incident.
I don't even think it was a racing incident. I don't think it was in anything. They're going around the corner. He's pushed him slightly onto the grass. No contact, no damage, no spin.
Just racing.
It's racing. Yeah, you look back when Vettel put Alonso on the grass. When was it? 2012 or something like that. He put him on the grass, and Alonso kept his foot and then took the position. It's how brave is the driver going to be? If you're not brave enough, you lift and come back onto the track. If not, you go for it.
Yeah.
It wasn't an incident. It didn't need to be investigated. I don't even think Albon, who complains a lot, didn't even complain about it. I don't think. Yeah.
Do we think that the FIA maybe has a quota of penalties they need to give out by the end of the year?
Paid by penalty.
Yeah.
Talking
about drivers going onto the grass, that race start. Monza is always nail-bitingly exciting, because you're going into a very tight chicane. Verstappen, Norris side by side. We have seen it go wrong before. Um, what was your opinion on that?
I mean, if what Antonelli did is a penalty, then surely that's a penalty. It was the same thing. FIA consistency. Again, it was a bit of nothing. It's the track narrows there a little bit, and Norris was on the inside, and the track narrows a bit, so he was on the grass. It didn't cost him like momentum really. He was still in second, I think. Verstappen had to give him the position back. Fair dues, he did, and then we took him. Again, there shouldn't have been any moaning. For me, it's hard racing, it's fair racing. If you can't hack it, maybe it's not the sport for you.
I mean, I didn't see anything that needed that position swap either, but I don't know. I mean, Verstappen still won, so I guess that's null and void. But what if he didn't? Then it would have been a big topic of discussion. But I was expecting a lot more things to happen at first turn because it's a very narrow. It's not even like two 90-degree chicanes. It's like two very acute angles that you have to. It's basically it's more of a hairpin at that point. It's not even. It's not a chicane. It's a death trap. That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, you expected or predicted a very chaotic race start. Were
I was
you
expecting two
satisfied?
safety cars.
Were
No,
you satisfied?
I was not. I mean, sure, there were two DNFs, but not in the way we were expecting. Hulkenberg had what? Why did they die his car again?
I think he had a electrical issue or pump
Yeah,
issue.
and Alonso just wrecked his suspension system completely over the curb, so obviously he had to retire. And I mean, we saw it happen. Alonso's was valid because that was a big shock that his car took. But still, that doesn't warrant a suspension braking, so I think they might have to look into that. But other than that, I mean, I shouldn't, but I was expecting a safety car.
Yeah, everyone in our chat was hoping and trying to project a safety car onto that Monza track. Would have made the race a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing wrong with bunching everyone up again and having a restart. Although we have seen F2 and F3 both struggling with restarts. Yeah.
Both F2 and F3 had more laps under the safety car than race laps.
Yeah. Interesting races, though. If you don't watch F2 and F3, we all recommend it. It's much better racing. Yeah.
It's much better racing because it's a lot of racing. They don't, because they all have the same engine, so they maintain those close gaps, those long DRS trains. There's just so much pure racing, and there's a lot of things that happen on track as well. I mean, as we saw with Dunn.
Yeah. You talked about Alonso really quickly. I think we have to give him some kind of pretty good, behind Bortoleto for his entire race until a pit stop, where he did something pretty interesting. He was, I think, a couple of millimeters behind him, and then overtook him into the pit lane, which we don't see often, but it's always nice to see, especially between a manager and the managee.
Managee?
Yeah, I mean, the managed, whatever you want. No comments on that. Okay.
I mean,
I'll move on.
we were waiting for a comment. Okay. Yeah, didn't it happen with Leclerc as well? No, I think Leclerc was just a braking incident. He was just too quick. And
Yeah.
I think you were expecting a penalty to come off of that, but nothing happened.
I mean, you see Leclerc going into the pit lane past the pit limiter, He was still braking.
Isn't the pit
actively.
limiter the first white line? I think he was. I think he was behind that when that happened.
Yeah, but he was still braking while going over it. So, of course, I didn't see the speeds. Usually, when you're still braking afterwards, then would have meant that you were, speeding.
But that strategy worked out for Alonso, didn't it? I think it was also partially to blame Sauber's slow 3.3 second stop that gave Alonso the lead over Bortoleto. Otherwise, I feel like Bortoleto would have it because it was very close between them.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think Alonso also used his experience. He closed up on entry to the pit lane, and those few extra meters were pivotal in the end. So, it's experience for youth there, and experience won out.
yeah, yeah. Then we have Hadjar starting from the pit lane, managed to snag up a point in the end. Is that due to race conditions or great strategy or just fast driving?
All
That's
three.
right. Yeah.
All three.
Maybe the new engine.
Well, that's going to help at a track like Monza, isn't it? I mean, it didn't help Alpine, but Renault problems, isn't it? But really solid race from Hadjar. I would say it was unspectacular. He didn't really get involved in anything, but he put his car where he had to, and he scored a point. So fair play to him.
We've talked about Williams before. They were once again complaining over the radio about not the right strategy. Sainz felt he was being screwed over by the team. What else is new? Albon, however, managed to drive into P4, P5 at some point in the race and walked away with a P7 finish.
Yeah.
At Monza, you always expect if you get into a rhythm, it's easy to then pit into traffic and kind of stay there because you can't really overtake, and you also can't really be overtaken. Props to him, right?
Yeah.
I think Albon is having one of the best seasons of his life at this point with Williams.
I'm happy he is. He needed to get some break after what happened to him at Red Bull. I feel like he deserves where he is at right now, and something even better if he, gets a better car.
Yeah, I mean, he performed the alternative strategy to perfection. Really, he was fast, and then when he got onto the medium tyre, he was actually able to make overtakes and was carving his way through the field. So, credit to him, credit to Williams. They split their strategy on their cars, and the alternative one probably was the right way to go for them.
Yeah. Talking about strategies, Ferrari. We have dunked on them in the past. Leclerc had a pretty great start over to Piastri after the little scuffle in turn one. Kept up for a little while, that was passed, and had a nice P4 finish after arguing with his team.
I don't think there was an argument. I think he was just asking for reasoning for them to pit so quick. But I think it worked out for them, didn't it? P4 is not a bad result. He ended where he started. P10 from P6 from P10 for Hamilton. That's also a great result. When it comes to strategy, I feel like it was fine. At least it didn't ruin this race, and I think that's the most you can ask from Ferrari for now. So.
I do think it's very difficult to mess strategy up at Monza when it's just a one-stop race. But if any team could do it, it would be Ferrari. But, Leclerc wasn't going to finish ahead of the McLarens. They had to cover Russell off. He had to get out ahead of the traffic of, I think it was Ocon and Stroll. I don't see a problem with him. With Hamilton, I thought he was going to close up on Russell a bit quicker, if I'm being honest. but he got put into a bit of traffic, which cost him probably 2-3 seconds. P6 is a good result. P5 probably was on the cards, but to be fair to Russell, he drove a strong race. He didn't have the pace of the front four, and but he did have a consistent, strong race.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. And once again, we've had a race where qualifying was ever so important. Because I'm looking at the final result. Top 4 finished where they started. I think top 5 even. Only Antonelli dropped away, and Hamilton got up to P6 again. Yeah.
I think it was also the shortest race we've had. I think an hour 20 minutes for a 53-lap race.
It's among the shortest. Yes, I think the shortest ever was 2003 at Monza, 1 hour 14 minutes.
So it was Monza. I think it's because of the straights, man. They just have too much speed and they cover it easy.
I mean, you have one of the longer tracks on the calendar with the highest average speed. Yeah, and no safety cars. That's the combo. That's the combo for having a quick race. Yeah, can't make anything else out of it. We talked about this before as well, because Monza is basically just 80% full throttle, and you have to lift for every corner, and then brake into turn 1, and that's it. So
that's it.
Yeah, it's not much else going on. I mean, it's a great track, but
it's a great track.
There's not much going on, and I think because you can go full throttle for most of the lap, even through the parabolica, that's just some of the greater corners of Formula One, because you can follow through the corners without losing anything, and then you go into a DRS straight, and that's just you love to see it.
Yeah.
I did not get a view at Driver of the Day. Any of you know who that is?
I think there might have been Hamilton, as far as I can tell. I don't think there was. I mean, but it could be Verstappen or Hamilton. I don't think there would be any other choices there. Or Albon, maybe?
Yeah, it could be. Verstappen, apparently.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was a pretty straightforward race. We said it yesterday. It was a really, really straightforward qualifying, and the race was no different. I didn't see
Speaking
anyone.
of Verstappen, though, that comment at the end, cherry on the top, that was perfection.
Yeah. So McLaren, they absolutely mess up the pit stop, which we don't like to see. We want to see fast pit stops. If possible, we want to see the fastest, but yeah, they didn't manage it. Front left did not want to go on. Then Piastri overtakes Norris because of the pit stops, and then they ask the championship leader to let his main rival by in order to keep the order correctly. Verstappen just said, "Ha, that's weird."
What do you think Verstappen would have done in that situation?
I think he would have.
We've seen what he does.
Oh yeah, he done it with Perez in Brazil.
Yeah.
No, a proper champion, a proper racer. They don't let him through. They say, "Come and get me," then. I actually saw the team radio for Piastri where he said, the slow pit stop is part of racing. I don't get why we have to swap. And apparently, they must have discussed it behind closed doors. McLaren probably just felt guilty.
About last race, probably.
Last race and the botched pit stop. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't think this is racing.
No,
if you have to organize your drivers mid-race, not what I want to see. At this point, I just hope Verstappen gets back into the fight because then they actually have some pressure. But that's not going to happen. Sadly.
What I would say is it closes the championship up slightly and
Wow, 3 points.
3 points, but it's getting closer to getting all the way to the final race.
I mean, 9 races. They're not going to make it if they do 3 points every time. So, but of course, they're going to win races again. We do have some interesting ones coming up, though. We have Baku, Singapore, 2 of the toughest races on the calendar, and then we're going into the American leg of the calendar again.
My money's on Ferrari winning at Singapore. I just
That
have a
is very
feeling.
bold.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you look at
putting
Verstappen's
your money on
domination
this
season, 2023, he couldn't win it. It's just one of those tracks that throws a surprise. So
I'm also putting my money on whatever Dan said.
I am usually right.
Dan is anti-Norris at this point, so...
No, I mean, I want Ferrari to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair play to Norris. He didn't do a bottle job this weekend.
Great
So
start, actually.
yeah, brilliant start. So fair play to the guy. You know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he just wasn't quick enough. The car. And I reckon Verstappen will probably do the same setup in Vegas, and he'll probably have a very good chance of winning there.
If
I
he
think the
puts on
Mercedes are going to
qualifying.
be very strong again in Vegas
Mm.
with the cold weather.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
with
would
a little bit of
expect-
luck, we could even see snow in Vegas.
You would expect fucking. Wait, I shouldn't have said that word. You would expect Sauber to actually be better in Vegas because, steak as a sponsor.
Powered by money.
Powered by gambling.
Powered by addiction. Yeah. Also want to send out a quick prayer to Jasmine, who was horrified by McLaren's strategy today.
Being a Norris fan, she was horrified. So
Yeah, not for the weak of mind. As the same goes for being a Leclerc fan at this point. So yeah.
According to walking, if you see an angry Brit woman walking towards you, run.
Yeah. The rest of the calendar. Let's discuss that really quickly because we are about to get the final 8 races of the season in record tempo, I believe. We have a 1-week break, then we have Baku, then we have a 1-week break, then we have Singapore, then we have a 1-week break, then we have the Kota, which is a sprint weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Another 1-week break, I believe, and then we go into a triple header, I believe. So we're just gonna rapid fire these final races, and there is some pretty interesting ones among them. We have Brazil, which produced a mega race last year in the wet. Singapore is always pretty fun. Azerbaijan should have Leclerc in the mix as well. He's always going well there. What are your expectations at this point going into the final almost quarter of the season?
I mean, it's a 1/3, not a quarter.
Yeah, it's a 1/3, final third of the season. Thanks for correcting me on that one.
But I mean, I'm excited actually. I know it's like McLaren has it bagged, at least the constructors they have. I want to see how the battle between Norris and Piastri goes off. I really hope it. I really want to see a repeat of 2021, happening. But I really want Piastri to win as well. So I'm conflicted.
I mean, you've got some interesting tracks coming up. Like I said, Singapore's a bit of an unknown. Kota is personally one of my favourites. You can get a lot of overtaking around there. You got Brazil. Yeah, like you said, Baku, tight circuit, one mistake, and that's it. It's game over. So some some tricky tracks coming up, and I'm all for it. It's at the stage where hopefully, with the final 8 races, McLaren will just let them race. Please, just let them race. But yeah, I do expect most of the tracks to be McLaren domination, with the exception of maybe Singapore and Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the constructor standings. McLaren have 617 points. Ferrari have a mighty 280.
Jesus.
Less than half. So yeah,
They should just give it to McLaren at this point.
I think if both McLarens DNF at every single race, and Ferrari don't win every race, they still win the constructors championship.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I think McLaren might end up with the highest constructor score ever.
I don't think they can reach 1,000 points anymore, though.
They might not be able to,
But 999 is still pretty amazing. So
do you think they'll be able to beat Red Bull's record on?
easily. I mean, Verstappen and Perez. Perez was, I think, also like 300 points back. So yeah.
That's just.
Yeah.
I thought they scored well in 2023, so I thought McLaren might not be able to beat that record, but I think they're close.
Also, they had fewer races, I believe, in 2023, right?
It wasn't the 24 races.
Imola was not on there. Or was it 2022?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. What do we think about Colapinto? Will he score a point before the end of the season, or before he's getting thrown out of the seat by Flavio Briatore?
For his sake, hope he does. For his sake, hope he does.
But no.
Okay, there you have it. Yeah. I think that's everything before we go over to Baku in a couple of weeks. Any final remarks about this straightforward Monza Grand Prix weekend?
Yeah, I'm happy that this era of car is coming to an end at the end of the year, because it's made one of the most iconic tracks look average. So hopefully they've got it right for next year.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I third that. So yeah. On that note, we will finish off this podcast. Everyone, thanks for joining us again. And we will see you next week with midweek shenanigans. Bye-bye.
Right.